At Kiwanis, our motto is improve the world one child, one community at a time. And we're very grateful that this community has been so supportive of Kiwanis programs that we're helping the kids in the community. And we hope that we get the same support with this project, and maybe even more, because it's so important to this community.
I see the need for help in our community, and I see the need for resources which have never been available in the past because we've never dealt with a problem like opioid addiction. I mean, and I say problem, it's not a problem, an epidemic. It is truly an epidemic, and it's taking over our community, and I see it. I believe it was 2 weeks ago, we had 4 deaths in a 7-day period in Ottawa County. It's 4 families that have a child or a brother or parents that won't come back again. We can't just stay status quo. We have to provide the resources, and we also cannot arrest our way out of this. We have to provide treatment and education.
We have seen about a 40% increase in felony case filings. The increase, we believe, is greatly attributable to the current opiate epidemic. Just this past January at the end, we had a period in less than 7 days, we had 6 overdoses that resulted in 4 deaths. And we believe these all to be opiate-based deaths, likely due to the increased toxicity of what's on our streets now. We used to see heroin as the primary drug. Now we're seeing these more toxic combinations of heroin, fentanyl, and 3-methylfentanyl, which are incredibly potent and incredibly toxic.
About 80% of the cases that we have in the common pleas court deal with opiates in some way, either the possession or sale, or the crimes that sort of follow the addiction, the thefts and those sorts of things, people looking to buy drugs. So that's 80% of what we do anymore.
We do a lot of communication with our kids on the effects of drugs, but we've experienced it firsthand in this county. This past week, we lost 2 of our parents to opiate overdose. So we have kids who are now dealing with life without their parents. So it's impacted our student population a lot. We have a silent silhouette project where we have dark silhouettes that represent every overdose that we had in Ottawa County last year. Those travel to each of the schools. And when they were in our school, I observed 2 of our kids explaining to each other who 2 of the silhouettes were. They were family members that belonged to them. So this epidemic has touched our kids' lives and certainly their families' lives.
But we know that the real work needs to come at the front end of the problem with the kids who are not yet using drugs. We need to keep them from using drugs. Last year we had a program, thanks to Kiwanis, that came in, talked to all the kids in the schools, talked about drug use, and it was really a good program. And it wasn't a don't use drugs program. It was a program to talk about choices and making the right choices, and how choices that they make as high school students or even younger affect them for the rest of their lives.
We learned about this problem in our community as it was growing, the opioid problem. Our club was committed to help educate kids in any way that we could, and so we have had a cooperative with the sheriff, the 3 judges, Winters, Giesler, and Haney, and Prosecutor Van Erten, to raise money and to work with the schools and bring that education program into the students.
Every friend that sat next to me in these seats, they disappeared. All of them were gone. I had one friend left. His name was Nate. I remember I called Nate one night. I said, hey, bro, I need a place to sleep. Nate always gave me a place to sleep, and he always gave me a meal to eat. Call Nate, hey, Nate, I got to come over. Okay. Walk miles to Nate's house, knock on the door. His dad answers the door and says, mijo, you can't stay here no more. I said, what do you mean, Alex? He said, you got to get your life together. I heard you're stealing credit cards. I said, well, can I talk to Nate? He says, yeah, he's in his room. So I go inside Nate's room and I said, Nate, bro, I need a sleeping bag. He goes, what are you talking about, Hoff? I was like, bro, I'm sleeping on the street tonight.
We were invited by the Kiwanis Club to join the assembly at Port Clinton High School back in the fall. And Tony's presentation was outstanding. Everything that he talked about was based on his own personal experiences. It was not PG rated. It really connected with the kids at a level that they understood and appreciated his candidness and his honesty. It was one of those great human interest stories that allowed our kids to see that the road to success sometimes isn't always easy.
I learned a lot from it. I think that it's a really good experience for students to listen to this because we're in high school and we don't necessarily understand the effects that what you can do in one night has on you for the rest of your life. If you can't do it for yourself, if you can't be strong for yourself, I think that you need to at least be strong for the people around you that care about you, because it's even harder for them to watch you do that to yourself.
I get above the street light and I hear Nate's voice. He says, "Hoff." And I turned around and said, "Yeah." He said, "Look at yourself, bro! What are you doing?" I said, "Don't worry about it, Nate, I got it. Don't worry about it, Nate, I got it." I got goosebumps telling you. Don't worry about it, Nate, I got it. I remember sitting in the seat that you're sitting in saying, there's no way that'll be me.
And I'm watching our kids, and we're 45 minutes into this presentation, and there's no child that's looking away. There's no child that's yawning or sleeping or looking at their phone. Everybody is just zeroed in on Tony because what he's saying and what he's selling, they are buying. The issues that he dealt with started very small. To start down that path that seemed small at the time and where it led to is a real wake-up call for our students.
So a lot of times it's hard to engage a group full of high school kids. Sometimes they don't respond to older people like myself or some of our other administrators like to talk to them. But Tony had a great message and great presentation and was very engaging with the kids.
And it happened to someone that you think would almost maybe be untouchable. Like, how could it happen to him? He had money, he had fame, had attention, all of those, what you would see as maybe positive things surrounding him, and he still, became addicted. So I think it really shows, like, it doesn't have an age, it doesn't have a socioeconomic status, doesn't have a gender, it can touch anyone.
Jose, the kid that took my point guard position, 7th grade, he was friends with Nate. One time we were partying at Nate's house. He says, "Hoff, I'm really worried about Nate." I said, "Why? What's up, bro?" He goes, "Man, you guys are snorting cocaine and smoking weed. I don't really care about that stuff." He goes, "Well, what about these pills, man?" He goes, "I know you use them and you got it under control. What about Nate?" I said, "Man, don't worry about it. Nate's got it." I didn't know that night that I walked out of Nate's house and I heard his voice say, "Hoff," that'd be the last time I got to hear his voice. His dad would go into his room every single day. Alex loved that kid more than any dad I've seen love their kid. He would kiss him on the forehead and say, "I love you, mijo. I'm going to work." He didn't know that one day he would walk in to do the same thing that he'd been doing for 20-something years, and he'd find the only kid he brought into this world dead on the floor.
After he spoke with our students, he went out in the auditorium lobby and students were lined up to talk with him, just to share their stories. So we paid attention to what students were talking with him, and knowing what we know about our students, heck, maybe we need to hook that person up with someone, our social worker, or spend more time with our counselor. We just looked at our resources to our students that we know have some family connections who had some other stuff that came up out of hearing what he had to say.
Today the students are dealing with the presence of substance abuse more so than in the past. I think it's all over social media. I think it's on TV. I think it's around them 24/7. So I think he covered a lot of those topics that they're dealing with today. Embracing too that mental health part that sometimes I think is left out or shamed. And I feel like he brought it to light in a positive way that it's okay to deal with those things and to be open about the struggles that you're having.
I guess I had never realized what a problem it was in Ottawa County until we started going through this. And we're pretty much doing the same thing that we did last year. We We're having an auction on April 14th at the Port Clinton Yacht Club. So I think it's a very worthy cause that we're raising this money for.
The support from the community allows us to do what we're doing, and it's a way that everybody is on board to help with this problem, to help our children, to help our community, and so we are very grateful for the support.
Kiwanis has just committed to helping us with funding a sober living house for women. Any money collected locally will have a 3-to-1 match from the state of Ohio. So the money collected here is going to make a big difference when it comes to actually starting that facility.
Thank you. Thank you to the people that have been supportive of Kiwanis projects in the past. But encouraging people to look at the seriousness of this issue and the impact it's making on our community. And that's why we hope we get good support and we have the funds to do what needs to be done to protect our kids.